And now Paul Haney down in Houston again.
This is Gemini Control, Houston. The coastal center Quebec now is reading the telemetry signal from both spacecraft. They estimate the distance at about 25,000 feet, on the order of 5 miles. And that agrees very closely with our plots here. We're hopeful that they'll get some voice communication as the two come very close together.
The telemetry information Haney talks about is the automatic information, the readout of the various instruments aboard the spacecraft, their radar and so forth, that are repeated on the ground automatically. The telemetry comes down on a wide band of a lot of information.
Here, Wally Schirra has just advised that he's braking a little bit. That's the only part of the conversation we can understand. We're standing by.
If that was a simultaneous transmission at 2:21, he was scheduled to break 2:21. However, at that time, according to the original flight plan, he should have been a little closer in than 25,000 feet. There may be a time lag in that information. Also, as these maneuvers have been carried out, there would be some change.
Quebec says the conversation is way down. It's murky. We're having trouble copying it here.
In other words, they're having trouble in Houston understanding it. The point is that the spacecraft are really on the edge of the coastal century Quebec. The ship, the tracking ship.
Coastal century reads the range of 20,000 feet.
Apparently we're getting a real time, that is a simultaneous readout. There's 25,000 a moment ago, now it's 20,000. They've closed more than a mile in the last minute. And we will continue to get these reports, apparently from Haney, until the spacecraft have passed out of the signal range of the coastal century Quebec. With a look at our Koosman map, we can see what happens thereafter. You see that circle is the coastal century Quebec's signal area.
Coastal century reads 18,200 feet. Elliott C advises that they have completed their final midcourse in this sweep up to the altitude of 7.
A 7-minute differential on here for corrections made during flight, the flight plan, that they should be 15,000 feet, correcting my own figures, 15,000 feet apart, or about 3 miles over the Indian Ocean at 2:22. Excuse me, over that area of the Western Pacific, over the coastal century Quebec, at 2:22 now. That it's now 2:23:30. With a slight time lag for communications, it may very well be that they're right on target on that basis.
Charles Lewis, the manned spacecraft center communicator out in the coastal century, advises the range is now 15,000 feet.
There it is, 15,000. Just a little under 3 miles.
We can hear Schirra coming up on the line every once in a while, but the conversation might best be described as unreadable. It's just a surge on the line, and just from experience you can identify Wally's voice there, but nothing really intelligible coming over it. I don't think the coastal centric Quebec is reading it any better.
Saying before, that circle represents the range of the coastal century Quebec under nominal conditions, that is the expected conditions. The communications over the Pacific have not been good today, and apparently coastal century Quebec, as you have heard Paul Haney say, is not hearing that too well. Right, Alf, right as it passes over the right-hand side of that
Flight
circle.
director here is asking for computer summaries from the Coastal Sentry every 30 seconds.
They will be out of touch again very shortly until picked up by the next tracking station along the line, which is Hawaii.
Now we heard Tom Safford come through. He said the range is 1.7 miles.
And this is about what it looks like from that Gemini 6 spacecraft as they close on Gemini 7, shooting over test engineer Bob Sharp's shoulder, who's sitting there in the command pilot's seat of our Gemini 6 mock-up at St. Louis. 1.7 miles, this approximately is the view that they're getting. Keeping the line open to hear more from the voice of Gemini Control in Houston, relaying information from Coastal Sentry, Quebec. Bob Sharp, what are you doing right now if you are Wally
Tom
Schirra?
Safford comes through again with 1.3
Right
miles.
now he's getting...
Beg your pardon, Bob?
I said right now he'd be getting to do his final braking maneuver. 1.7 mile, he's indicating that's roughly 10,000 feet on the his radar range and range rate indicator. And,
He's now down to 1.2, Bob, we just heard.
Okay, and he'll be getting prepared here then to do a final braking maneuver and drop from somewhere around 40 foot per second down to about 4 foot per second then.
Right. That would bring him down to about 2.5 miles an hour, in other words.
Houston here, they should be breaking into the sunlight. Chuck Lewitt on the Coastal Sentry just advises we do have LOS, loss of signal there. They may get additional information from the range tracker parked west of Hawaii. Last reading we had from Tom was 1.3 miles. The ranges given to us by the Coastal Sentry were slightly larger than those given by Safford.
What are you doing there now, Bob?
We're flying here, essentially maintaining approximately the same attitude that Schirra should have at this time during the mission. So he'll be pitching up slowly here. Actually, he's in a heads-down inverted position now with his nose slightly up. Soon they'll be rolling to a heads-up
The two
position.
spacecraft should be breaking into sunlight just about this time. Perhaps a minute or two ago.
Bob, he's eyeballing this now. He's flying this as a pilot, and he's simply looking out the window. And don't, wouldn't you have put that reticle up there in the window by now? I suppose we have it out so we can see through the window and see the other spacecraft.
Yes, we had it out up here earlier to show the initial part of the simulation, and we've pulled it out now. At this range, they are still using the reticle, and but after they get a little bit closer, they won't need it anymore. So he'd have that reticle up,
Right.
and the window in this position here.
Okay. We can almost read through that with our television cameras. Fantastic view from here. Just
Yes,
about see it.
Yeah, it's designed to not interfere with your view any more than it has to.
That camera of ours is as if it were sitting right between you and Bill Stout there, looking over your shoulders. We can see over your left shoulder out your left hatch window. You were pointing out to me when I was out in St. Louis there a few days ago that their visibility actually out of those windows is pretty good, despite the windows look so small.
Yes, as you move your head close to it, you can see 70 degrees or so out to the side, and you can see straight up or 90 degrees over your head fairly easily.
Well, they're looking out that window as they approach Hawaii now. the spacecraft obviously seeing each other well. They should be, although we haven't had confirmation of this, well within 1 mile of each other. As a matter of fact, according to the flight plan, they should just at this moment be about a half mile from each other, closing at the rate of about 2.5 miles an hour until they get down to that 100-foot distance.
Yeah, this is a spot where they're closing real slow, and it probably seemed like eternity when you're in there doing it.
We're still remaining comparatively silent here as we wait for more word from Houston.
Closing that slowly, Walter, it's going to take them, what, another 9, 10, 11 minutes to come up within, say, 100 feet of each other?
Oh, let's see. It'd probably be something like that.
I have the book in front of me, fellas. I'm cheating a little bit, and the book says about 7 minutes to close from 3,000 to 100 feet. They're, of course, as everybody has said, and I think Bob and Bill, you have pointed out many times, at this point, the book really doesn't count that much. As Schirra has said, too, he's flying this spacecraft now, and from here on out, all of this formation flying they do will be pretty much pilot discretion, unless they are ordered otherwise from the ground, although they do have a specific second-by-second flight schedule, and presumably as test pilots, they'll stick pretty close to that, but it is their discretion, I believe. Isn't that right, Bob?
Yes, and the times given in the book are
This is Gemini Control.
nominal.
We have an announcement.
53:54 minutes make it into the flight of Gemini 6. And we expect acquisition at Hawaii at 36 minutes after the hour. It's entirely possible that we'll have communication with the range tracker, which is also out on station at a roughly the 180-degree parallel. Prior to that, several minutes earlier. By all our estimates here, the .54 minutes make it into the flight of Gemini 6. And we expect acquisition at Hawaii at 36 minutes after the hour. It's entirely possible that we'll have communication with the range tracker, which is also out on station at a roughly the 180-degree parallel. Prior to that, several minutes earlier. By all our estimates here, the two should have gotten within, say, 100 feet of each other at 5 hours and 50 minutes into the mission. That's what Elliot C. called it. And we'll just have to sweat out these next 2 minutes to find out how everything went, because as we said earlier, the communication as we passed out there in the southern periphery of the CSQ was altogether murky. The 1 or 2 readable messages we got through there came from Tom Safford, calling out the range in nautical miles. We heard him say 1.7, 1.3, and that's the last communication we had via CSQ. We are now attempting to get voice communication through the range tracker, and we'll stand by and come back to you when we have new information.
This is really quite phenomenal. If one wanted to pun about it, you'd almost say that they brought this space flying to a science, because that flight plan, that great big thick book, which is the size of a telephone book and details second by second how these flights should go, called for their being within 100 feet of each other at 5 hours and 50 minutes into the flight. And if Elliot C., the astronaut who is the spacecraft communicator there at Mission Control is correct, they made their rendezvous at 100 feet at just that precise second. However, that confirmation will have to come when we get this first word from Hawaii. Seeing the exterior of the spacecraft now, and this is about the sort of view that Wally Schirra and Tom Safford would be having as they close with and eventually fly around Gemini 7.